Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gridiron Growers. My name is Luke, and joined with me, as always, is
Brian Green.
Today, we're doing our post-free agency mock. Most of the free agency is done at this point. So most of the teams, their needs have kind of been either filled or, I guess exasperated, whatever.
Basically, like how there are still some quarterbacks that are being moved around, possibly. So, like, that will be right before the draft, more than likely. I mean, so we'll have one more mock draft, but this is our 2-round, no trades, going after a lot of the free agent moves. Like I said, obviously there's Aaron Rodgers, there's also Russell Wilson that's going to impact certain things, but for the most part, everything's kind of like, all right, now let's focus up on who we could potentially pick.
So for this mock draft, I'm going to be taking odds. Ryan's will be taking evens, so switching it up from last time. So we'll each actually pick for our own teams this time. So I'm up first with the Tennessee Titans. Last time you took Abdul Carter, correct?
Yes, before the free agent moves.
Yes, before free agency. Now it has to be Cam Ward. They've done a solid job of kind of filling out that offensive line. It's not great. But moving Latham over to right tackle is a smart move. Zeitler's a good signing on a 1-year deal. Now they've got, their offensive line's filled out. I like Peter Skoronski a lot at left guard. You overpaid for your left tackle.
I don't understand giving Dan Moore that.
Yeah.
That's
Dan Moore giving him like $84 million. That's kind of stupid. But he's not the worst tackle in the league. He's not a good tackle. But hey, this all kind of indicates that they're in on quarterback here. If they're like, okay, we got to get at least a competent offensive line here for the quarterback when it takes. I'm taking Cam Ward. Mm-hmm. Now you're up with the Browns.
So with the Browns, like obviously they have a lot of needs. There's been some talk about quarterback. I am not of that belief, mainly because I think that the Browns know that they're going to be bad. I think the Browns also know they're kind of in that maybe get a Russell Wilson, maybe if they stick with Kenny Pickett, that's fine. Like I said, they're not going to be good regardless of what quarterback they take. They need a lot of help. So this could either be a trade back scenario, but in this scenario, I'm going to take out 2 needs with 1, and I'm going to take Travis Hunter. Mainly because obviously I think that you have Jerry Jeudy as wide receiver, but outside of him, I mean, you got Cedric Wilson, you got David Njoku, but you don't really have like another really good wide receiver. You get that with Travis Hunter while also getting a really good corner that you can pair, because we don't know really what's going to happen with Greg Newsome. Martin Emerson hasn't really been that guy. And then like Ward is also technically, what is he, like 27, 28? Like I said, he's still in his prime, but he's still getting up there in age.
He's old. He's like 28 years old.
Yeah, and so like I think that's a perfect fit as far as like getting an impact player, somebody that you can actually get the fan base to be like, okay, hey, you know what? We're actually, going through like a little bit of rebuild. It's not really like a lot of hope, but hopefully if Travis Hunter works out, if you're able to have a good draft, like I said, you have still some good picks. Maybe you can turn it around, but it's still not
maybe engaged Deshaun Watson is going to be as good as engaged Josh Allen, and it saves their franchise.
Well, he's. I mean, we'll have to wait next year. Gotta wait till next year.
We gotta wait, but hey, there's potential there. Maybe the engaged quarterback thing pops up, but who knows? I'm up now with the Giants and the quarterback that's kind of been linked to them the entire draft process. Shedeur Sanders. I don't agree with Shedeur going pick number 3.
Me neither.
But I have to take it. Like I if it was like, even if it was a what would we do mock, I'd still have to take Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
They didn't address quarterback in free agency. Even if they go out and they sign an Aaron Rodgers, which I don't think they're going to do, you still got to take a young quarterback. So like Shedeur, he'll be fine. He'll be better than what they've had the last couple of years. It'll at least be a quarterback to get the fan base fired up. Mm-hmm. You can draft some more weapons in the 2nd, 3rd round. I like what you did on defense.
Especially with Paulson Debo, and also with
you really shored up some spots in that secondary.
Yeah.
And you have a pretty good front 7 or front 4 at least. So I think this should be a very offensive heavy draft if you're the Giants, but now you're up with the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Shedeur going at 3 is way too like hefty for me, but they're also kind of just trying to save their jobs. So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be a very interesting situation for the Giants. But for the for the Patriots, they went on a big spending spree. The two things that they didn't really they were not able to find in free agency was a difference maker at wide receiver and a left tackle. They got Morgan Moses to play the right tackle position, but if you actually look at like the offensive line right now, I don't like the left tackle position. And if I'm right here, I'm taking Will Campbell. I still see Will Campbell as
you're
a
taking
tackle.
Will Campbell?
I'm taking Will Campbell. I still see him as a left tackle. I had the same as I think with that with Rashawn Slater, where I stuck him at tackle. Now, Peter Skoronski was the one that generally was seen as a tackle that should be moved into guard, and I agreed with that. But I'm going to stick with my guns. Will Campbell, I know he has the alligator arms, but his technique is really good. He's got a really good anchor, and he's the kind of guy that I think that Vrabel is going to really, really love.
So now I'm here with the Jaguars. As tempting as Abdul Carter would be here,
You already have your bucket.
yeah, you have that. I am actually going to take Tetairoa McMillan.
Really? Okay.
I think you just kind of got rid of two of your top receiving options. It's kind of a barren receiving core outside of oh my gosh, the name thing.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Yes.
He's your one. I think Tetairoa McMillan being that two, I think they complement each other pretty well too.
I think they do. I do think they do. I think 5 is a little bit higher for me for Tet, but like I think that's a really good fit, especially because like he's been compared to Mike Evans. I think it's a little bit lofty expectations, but like I think as far as like having that 1-2 with
get some big like Brian Thomas Jr. He's a really good separator.
Yeah,
but they're both big receivers. Take McMillan goes and wins those jump balls. I think they'd be a perfect complement to each other.
Yeah, I like to say I would really like that for Jacksonville, especially just try to see what Liam Cohen can do with that offense.
And hey, Liam Cohen's coming from an offense where he had 2 really good wide receivers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think your priority should just be Trevor Lawrence. I know you could have taken Mason Graham here, Jahdae Barron. I thought about Tyler Warren, but
it's really
it'd be really, really rich for that.
So I'm up here with the Raiders. Obviously, they get Geno Smith. They have their veteran quarterback. I think as far as like wide receiver wise, if Tet had fallen, that would have been an interesting position for him, especially if he would be able to pair with Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. I think they're going to try to do more Trey Tucker. But to me, they have no running back whatsoever. And Ashton Jeanty, as long as another running back that I'll talk about, are my 1A, 1B. And same as the thing with where you had with Jahmyr Gibbs, where you had with Bijan Robinson. If you can get these kind of players in the top, I don't care the fact that we shouldn't draft you should draft a running back this high. If you're able to get the kind of production that you might be able to get from Ashton Jeanty over the next, I'm taking Ashton Jeanty over the next 4 to 5 years, and then if you want to tag him for another year or whatnot, like I think you should. And someone who with Pete Carroll, who had Marshawn Lynch, who had an amazing run game, you give that to Geno. You can get another wide receiver in the second round, or focus up on another position. I think that the Raiders could be an 8-win team because they have actually have a really good running game that they did not have last year.
Yeah. So now I'm up with the Jets.
Yeah.
I could go Abdul Carter. I could go Mason Graham. I'm going to go with Armand Membu. He's going to play right tackle. He's the best right tackle in this class. He fills out that offensive line. And they signed Justin Fields.
Yeah.
They're going to want to incorporate – they're going to want to run the ball.
Yes.
And now with you drafting Armand Membu, you have a good 5 from left to right. You have your whole starting lineup.
Yep.
And I like Membu also gives you some flexibility as well, but this will enable you to run the ball. I know that you need another wide receiver. You could take Tyler Warren. I think you're fine taking a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Like now their needs to me are mainly wide receiver and defensive tackle, and they could take those in rounds 2 and 3.
Yep.
So I think Armand Membu just taking the best player that fits your top need, and that's right tackle because they lost Morgan Moses. They lost George Fant. Yeah, they lost George Fant. He hasn't re-signed. I don't think he's going to re-sign. So Armand Membu here at the Jets.
And I really like that. I've been kind of putting them at tackle mainly because like I think as much as I'm not a big fan of Justin Fields, I think they're willing to give him at least like, hey, this is going to be your team. We have your wide receiver, your friend, and Garrett Wilson. Let's see what happens. And it's going to be a little bit of a rebuild. And let's just see, like, if Aaron Glenn can work out. I hope that he does.
Aaron Glenn's coming from the Lions, where they had a really good offensive line.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, you got Olu last year. You get Armand Bimbu. You have your booking tackles for the next 4 years and more. Like I said, I think that's a really great draft. And honestly, over the last week or so, like, I've really started to think there's a chance the Panthers can stick and pick and take two of the best defensive players in my opinion, and Mason Graham or Abdul Carter. Who is the most important position for us right now that we desperately do not have? That's an edge rusher. So I mean, if Abdul Carter falls to us at 8, it's automatically we're going to rush the ticket in, not even worry about it. Like, we're going to get Abdul Carter because of the fact that he's finally going to be able to get a premier pass rusher. You're able to have him with, I think we have a good rotation, but no, like, actual star. I think we have a lot of potential there. Abdul Carter, I think he still has some room to grow. Obviously, I think there's a lot of people who are trying to put him as he's going to be Michael Parsons 2.0. I think it's a little bit rich because even Michael Parsons had to do some growing up in the NFL. Hopefully, Abdul Carter can get there, but if not, he's still going to be a very, very high floor as far as athletic ability.
So now I'm up with the Saints, who have lost 2 of their best corners in the span of like 4 months.
Yes.
Or 3 months. I'm taking – where's he at?
Depends on who you're talking about.
Yeah, I got to figure it out.
Because, I mean, like I said, they got Kool-Aid McKinstry, they got Alontae Taylor, but they don't really have –
I'm going to be taking Will Johnson.
Okay. I like that.
I think they lost 2 outside corners. They got Kool-Aid last year. I think you could put Will Johnson there. I thought about Mason Graham, but they do kind of have a player of that play style, like the little bit undersized defensive tackle in Brian Brzee. They drafted in the first round 2 years ago. He's not been bad, but it hasn't panned out just yet. And it does take defensive tackles a little bit of time. So I just wouldn't love the fit of if they're still holding out hope. I know it's a new regime, but if they're still holding out hope on Brian Brzee, Mason Graham feels kind of like a repetitive type player, even if I think he is better. Just both of those guys are a little bit undersized, smaller defensive tackles. They're kind of pass rush first. But I think Will Johnson, take the other Michigan guy, I think he feels the need. They lost Boston Adebo. They traded away Marshawn Lattimore. They like having good corners there. In Mickey Loomis drafts secondary players all the time. So
yeah, I like that pick. Like I said, I thought
about Jahdae Barron.
I thought about Jahdae Barron, but I think you have Alontae Taylor for that role. I mean, Alontae Taylor is more of a nickel, anyways. Like, he gets to stick there. He doesn't have to be forced to go outside. Because that's the one thing I was thinking about. Like, I do think that the Saints are going to be looking for corner in the draft. If Will Johnson falls to them, I think he possibly can because of that injury history, like from last year. Yeah. But before then, I mean, he was obviously a lock to go top 10. So love him going at 9. Me at 10. A lot of people have looked at the Bears as potentially taking a tackle. To me, I don't think that's going to happen just yet, mainly because of the fact that I think that Braxton Jones had an okay season at left tackle. Yeah. You got Darnell Wright, and then you absolutely just filled out your interior offensive line. I mean, I love what the Bears did in free agency. So as far as, like, establishing the offensive line. Let's talk about the defensive line, though. There's potential that they could take somebody like an edge rusher or defensive tackle. I think obviously they spent their money on that. I'm trying to think of the guy's name from the Colts. What's his name? It's like a long last name too. But I think because they paid him, I don't know if they're going to go defensive end this early. I think there's potential also, like, if a running back falls to them. I'll talk about Omarion Hampton a little bit later, especially if he starts to fall down a little bit more, because I don't think they're going to be just okay.
Odeo Bingo.
Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, like I said,
Bingo.
Like I said, they paid him $3 years, $45 million. So I think that, like, they're going to be okay with them as booking ends. I'm still a little bit iffy on their interior. Yes, they did get Grady Jarrett, but Grady Jarrett's also long in the tooth. He's like 31, I believe. Yeah. This is falling perfectly for you to take Mason Graham. Having Mason Graham, where you had obviously, like, it's a little bit different with Ben Johnson, with Aiden Hutchinson, but taking a difference maker on the defensive line that can boost, like, a really good interior pressure, learn from Grady Jarrett, while also having a good rotation. Because I think he still has some good young talent in the interior defensive line with Javon Dexter. But I would absolutely love that if that falls to them for the Chicago Bears, because like I said, you could probably take a running back in second round and be perfectly fine with that.
So now I'm up with the 49ers, which is a very interesting spot. If Armand Mimbu had been here, I would have taken him. If Philip Johnson had been here, I probably would have taken him. I'm going to take Mike Green.
Okay.
They really need an edge rusher next to Nick Bosa.
Do you think they're going to I agree, the edge rusher. Do you think like the size profile is something that they usually take, or are they going to be doing a little bit different?
I just think they need to just take the best player at edge here. If Mike or Mason Graham had been there, I would have taken him.
Yeah.
I don't love a lot of these players in this position. I thought about taking Jahdae Barron because they lost to the Colts.
You're talking about Joe Davis.
Yeah, but we knew he was gone.
Yeah.
They need more juice on the outside of pass rush. I know he's not their prototypical edge, but honestly, I'm just going to take the best player here.
That's fair. Like I said, that's fair. Like I said, I know that obviously they desperately need help on the offensive line, but
I don't love the picks.
I don't like the picks here, and honestly, I don't think that they were going to be willing to draft in the first round. I mean, they got Pooney in the second round. He's been doing amazing for them, so. Yeah. I feel pretty confident that the 49ers more than likely going to take a offensive line in the second round or in the third round. Now I'm up with the Cowboys. I think there's potential. There's two people that I'm really looking at, or really two positions that I'm looking at, and that is they desperately need to get better at the right side of their offensive line. Obviously, Zach Martin, he retires. They signed Robert Jones. They also have Terrence Steele, but I don't really like like I said, if Mimbu is here, taking Mimbu, but he's not. I thought about Kevin Bakes Jr., but I'm like, I think that the Cowboys going in a little bit different direction. So in doing so, I think they're going to try to get another weapon for Dak Prescott, mainly because of the fact that CeeDee Lamb had an amazing season. Absolutely. He's consistently been a good wide receiver, but when he constantly is getting doubled all the time because there's no real other option, I think the Cowboys are going to be willing to go for a wide receiver, somebody that's going to be able to get open, somebody that's going to bring some juice, and that's going to be Matthew Golden. I think Matthew Golden is going to go a lot higher than even some people think. In my opinion, right now, he's my wide receiver 1. And I like I said, I really, really, really love Matthew Golden here. Pairing him up with CeeDee Lamb, I think this is the version of an all-in, I guess you can say, for the Cowboys, because they desperately need to get better. So you have a great 1-2 punch, same as I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have.
Now I got the Dolphins here. I'm going to take Jahdae Barron.
I've been picking them.
They just need corner. I don't love the offensive line. I mean, I like some of the offensive linemen here, not in their scheme, and also they never draft offensive linemen. So
we wanted them to take Barton so bad last year, they just didn't.
So that they never take offensive linemen.
No.
Jahdae Barron, I think, best corner right now on the board. They need corner. Now you're at the Colts. Do we even need to waste time here?
So I'm actually going to go in a different direction.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, the Tyler Warren has been the big thing for the Colts here. But to me, I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, sure, a tight end would be great. An amazing tight end in the Colts system would be great. But you already have Michael Pittman. You already got Josh Downs. You already got Texas wide receiver from last year, Mitchell. Like I said, you already have a lot of great. Already have a lot of great weapons. Do you want to continuously to, invest in the offense as far as like getting more weapons, where you're basically just spreading out even more targets? I'm gonna go a different direction because I think this tight end class is really good. They can get another great tight end like in the second and the third round. So I'm actually going to go with the Malachi Starks. I think that having somebody on the back end that's going to be able to, patrol, and like I said, obviously like his last year was not as good as his freshman and his sophomore year, but Malachi Starks is still, in my opinion, the top safety in this draft that has some really good safeties. And I think that there's potential for them to go to defensive line, but I think because this defensive line class is very, very deep, they'll go in that second round. If I'm the Colts, I'm investing heavily in the defense and maybe also looking at that right guard position, but potentially someone like I thought about either like a Tyler Booker too, but I don't know if that really fits their scheme as much. So I'm going with Malachi Starks. I think that's going to be good for the Colts because they desperately need some help in the back end.
Falcons need edge rusher. I'm gonna take the best edge rusher on the board.
Oh,
Donovan
Ozaraku.
Yep.
He is my favorite.
They've drafted Boston College players before.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't going to get him in the second round.
I know.
They need edge rusher really badly. They've lost some players in the front seven, notably Grady Jarrett. We all thought they were going to take edge last year. They took Michael Penix.
Yeah.
Take edge rusher now.
And you got him and Leonard Floyd. That's a pretty good.
Not bad. I don't love Leonard Floyd.
I don't like Leonard Floyd, but I mean, he gets you 8 sacks.
He can develop into your number one edge rusher for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Just letting you know, Ozaraku is not getting past the Packers. If he's somehow able to follow away to the Packers, like they're taking him, obviously. Now I'm here with the Cardinals. I'm looking at both sides of the offensive line and defensive line. I think if it felt a different way, I would look at like I said, at Kelvin Banks Jr. If they're looking to move him in at guard, there have been some talks about that. I think that Kelvin Banks can still stay at tackle. I don't know if he's a left tackle though, but in this case, I'm going to give Jonathan Gannon what he had in Jordan Davis, and I'm giving them a Kenneth Grant. If I can have Kenneth Grant on the Chargers with Josh Sweat being as good, Cardinals with Josh Sweat being as good as he is, like I said, I think that you're not going to get as much into your pass rush than from Kenneth Grant, but you're not running on Kenneth Grant. So if you're looking to be able to stop, I think they had the 16th best run defense. Like I said, they were still middle of the road.
Yeah.
If you're looking to take that next step for the Cardinals, you got to improve that defense. And I think that, like I said, I think you can get a really good guard in the second round if you're the Cardinals.
So I got the Bengals. They've obviously invested a lot of money in their offense. Nothing really in their defense. They've drafted players. I know James Pierce is sitting here on the board. Neither of us have him ranked this high.
No. I've heard a lot of bad things about James Pierce.
Yeah, there's a lot of off the field stuff. Apparently, I don't think he's going to go round one. And then the Eagles will draft him. Everyone will be like, "Howie did it again!" And then I don't love the picks here, but
if Kenneth Grant was there,
it's an easy pick for me. I am going to take Shamar Stewart.
Okay.
They're probably trading Trey Hendrickson because they can't pay him.
Mm-hmm. They got Miles Murphy to the same exact time with the guy.
They got Miles Murphy. He hasn't really panned out super well so far. If you trade Shamar Stewart's really heavy in the hands. He's a good run defender. Trey Hendrickson's not a good run defender, by the way. And so, if your team really values run defense, you're not trading for Trey Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
But Shamar Stewart, I think he doesn't have great production in college, but I think he's going to develop more. I don't think the A&M scheme was great for him or who's the other guy? Nick Scorton.
Well, Nick Scorton also had he gained 20-ish pounds.
Yeah, because they wanted him to play heavier.
Yeah,
but I think Shamar Stewart, while it's not the flashiest pick in the world, because he's probably not going to put up these insane sack numbers, he's going to be a very quality edge. I feel very confident in that. You get the Seahawks here at 18, who've had a weird offseason.
They've had a weird offseason. It's not as bad as I had initially thought, mainly because I've liked some of the moves they've made. And obviously right now, they're going to be focusing on their interior. I liked Olu coming out, the Michigan center. So I'm interested to see how he does at center. I'm looking more at guard right now. So if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I'm taking Josh Simmons. I think that's a great pick.
He's guard.
Josh Simmons can play guard and tackle.
Okay.
And so, like I say,
you're not worried about the knee?
No, not as much. Because I think that he's gonna come back from that. And also, like I said, you get position flexibility because obviously you had Abram Lucas go down last year. I think he's good when he's healthy. Like I said, Charles Cross is really good when they're healthy. Their interior is not that good. So you get someone like Josh Simmons that I really, really like for them because like I said, you got Sam Darnold in there. He's coming off a year where he looked pretty good, but when the tackle went down, when Christian Darrisaw went down, he did not do as well as he did previously. You got to invest the offensive line for him to be able to work. So Offensive line is the best bet. I thought Kelvin Banks Jr., but I'm going to go with Josh Simmons.
Buccaneers here. There's one player that I think is pretty chalk here, Jalen Walker. I don't love Jalen Walker. But I think he's a good scheme fit here. They run that 3-4. They like to blitz. He can do both. Like, he can pass rush as a stand-up linebacker. He can play linebacker. Like, he's not going to play a full-time inside linebacker or off-ball linebacker, but he's a good blitzer. I think he'd be a great. I think if Jalen Walker wants to maximize or be as good as he can be, I think this is about as good of a spot as he can go to.
Plus, he's going to learn from Levante David, which
they have really good interior defensive line. They don't have good edge rushers, but like you have really good interior line there. Maybe Levante David can teach him. I mean, I wouldn't want him full-time teaching him because I wouldn't want Jalen Walker to be a full-time inside linebacker. But Jalen Walker, I think, just fits the Buccaneers. The Broncos pick is a little interesting, though.
Okay, so I think they could go a couple of different ways.
All right. Are you gonna take?
I'm in between. I'm in between two people because like I can see it going either way. Mainly because like I love Hampton so much. I think like right now he's my 1B. Like I said, I think he's almost on par with Genty as much as I love Genty. But I'm gonna go with something that I didn't think after they signed Evan Ingram. I thought like, oh, they're good there. I know Sean Payton from being a Panthers fan and seeing the Saints. They had Jawan Taylor with Taysom Hill. And if I'm looking for like somebody that can play like be your Swiss Army knife, someone that is not coming off of like Evan Ingram got a little injured last year. I really.
I don't think you.
I know.
I don't think they would take wide receiver.
They would take wide receiver. But I'm going to go with Omarion Hampton. I'm going to stick with that. Like I said, I really like that pick for them. And also, like I said, you get a dynamic running back that you can have paired up with Bo Nix and somebody that can catch out of the backfield that, like I said, I think that's obviously something.
Hopefully this doesn't take the same trajectory as the last UNC running back they took.
Yeah. Who's now in the Cowboys.
Yeah. But rookie Javonte Williams was really good until he tore his ACL and kind of lost all his like juice. But I really like Omarion Hampton. He's so good.
Yeah.
UNC's produced really good backs in the last couple of years. I got the Steelers here at 21. They don't have a quarterback right now.
No.
They will get a quarterback by draft time.
You don't think that Mason Rudolph can handle it?
Yeah, I think he can. I think they'll end up re-signing Russell Wilson.
No.
If not, they'll just get Aaron Rodgers, which I don't love. They obviously got DK Metcalf, so they don't really have a huge need at running back now, or at wide receiver.
I was like, huh?
At wide receiver now.
Yeah.
I don't really know where I want to go here.
Do you want to know what my suggestion might be?
Let me go.
Okay, so
I think I know who I'm going to take.
Okay, I'm looking at interior defensive line mainly because of Cameron Hayward getting a little bit long in the tooth. Like I said, he's 34, 35. Like I said, he's getting up there in age. Obviously, I love Kenyon Benton. I loved him coming out as well. And so like you have a good presence there, but you need to back that up because I think like the other.
I'm taking Walter Nolan.
Okay, I like that. Like so, I think the other one is like Loudermilk. I think that's
he gets to learn. Walter Nolan, I think, out of the defensive tackles here, has the highest upside.
Yeah.
And he gets to learn from Cam Hayward for like a year or two, and I think he's going to be a really good defensive lineman if he gets to learn and get into the right system and steal. There's no better there's not really many better run franchises or stable franchises than the Steelers. I know they get memed a lot because they always go 9-7, but they're very stable. They pride themselves on their tradition, and Mike Tomlin is a very good culture coach. He keeps a lot of these crazy dudes in check, and we see how crazy they go when they get outside the Steelers, which is like he's going to do it again with DK Metcalf and
George Pickens.
But like Walter Nolan's not like a crazy thing. I just mean like he's going to a really good culture where he's going to just get to learn. Now you get the Chargers.
I do get the Chargers here, and I think this is a perfect fit for them. They're going to get Tyler Ward. Now, I will say this.
I don't see Tyler Ward falling this
I
far.
don't think Tyler Warren's fallen this far. I think someone's going to be trading up to get him because he's that special of a player. But I would not be surprised if someone like a Will Johnson also started to fall if the Chargers don't trade up. They also need some quarterbacks. I don't really like where the quarterbacks are falling right now. Well, there is one that I might be interested in. But like I said, love Tyler Warren. Him going to the Chargers would be absolutely amazing for Justin Herbert, who you basically have Warren, who can be that, like, Brock Bowers to Lat McConkey. Like I said, I mean, that was dominant at Georgia. I saw it all the time as an Auburn fan. And I would love to see that for Justin Herbert.
Now I've got the Green Bay Packers, who are the worst team to draft for in the mock draft.
They're going to go wide receiver for sure. No, I was kidding.
They are going to be drafting Michael Williams. He fits their profile, run first, developmental defensive or developmental pass rusher. Lucas Van Ness has not been very good for them. Rashawn Gary took a step back. They really need edge. They might be able to view Michael Williams as like he's a good run defender, and they really care about that first. So Michael Williams is like their kind of typical edge rusher that they're going to take. And like I would take Emeka Egbuka or Luther. I would take Egbuka. He's kind of repetitive with what they have.
Yeah.
I just don't love I think they just need like a big receiver, and these two guys aren't it.
And I would love for them to have
I think second round is where you could look at.
Yeah, and like I said, I would love for them to have a cornerback too, because I don't know what's happening with the Jair Alexander situation. A lot of Packers fans say that he's basically out the door now. I have no idea what's going on with that. But obviously the quarterback's also going to be a big need if he's gone. So I wouldn't be surprised to take quarterback here too. But I think Michael Williams, hopefully, like I said, he was kind of played out of position a little bit at Georgia. And I'm hopeful for him that he can be able to.
They've drafted Georgia players in the past.
It's worked out.
So,
now the Vikings, like I said, the Vikings are a little bit interesting because they filled a lot of their needs in free agency.
Yeah, they did.
And so like it's kind of a harder pick. It's kind of like a harder thing to predict. So there is I think the best way to put this. There is a player that has the athletic floor that a lot of people are comparing to players that he should not be compared to. He should not be compared to Kyle Hamilton. But in a system that focuses on getting pressure, that focuses on like having a lot of athleticism, with also having Harrison Smith be as old as he is, still playing pretty good ball. I think they're going to go safety. I'm looking at Emenwari. Xavier Watts, another good one too, but I think the athletic floor. I'm taking Emenwari just because the athletic floor is so high that I think he's going to go first round. I think he really should go second round, but he's probably going to go first round because of athleticism. And honestly, him being in Brian Flores' system, hope Brian Flores can mold him to be a really good safety. Like I said, he has the athleticism to do so. Sometimes just makes the wrong decision, but like I said, I really like Emenwari as a developmental guy and not immediate impact though.
I think this is a perfect spread the card in for the Texans here. Take Kelvin Banks. Their offensive line is not good. It's actually really, really bad. I'm not going to go into a whole rant. We'll do that next episode. But Kelvin Banks, position versatility. They like kind of drafting guys that are from the SEC, high-profile guys. That's kind of his style. They drafted in-state offensive linemen before. I think Kelvin Banks is kind of the guy they want. If he starts to fall, I think they would actually trade up for him in this mock-up as we're not doing trades.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks, they could play him at guard for a year, then kick him out to tackle if/when Titus Howard and newly signed
Cam
Robinson are gone. So I think Kelvin Banks is the perfect fit here. I know they need a wide receiver as well, but before anything, you have to take tackle. And as long as Nico Collins is healthy, you'll have a good enough wide receiver core. If you have a top 5 wide receiver, your wide receiver core is not great. Even if it's not great outside of it, it's good enough.
Yeah.
So you got to protect him first.
I agree with that. I like that. Kelvin Banks, like I said, I agree. I think you probably trade to like close to like the 17, or
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the Bengals will trade.
You got
back,
some
but-
extra picks to work with too.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you could trade with the Cardinals. That worked the last time you did that.
Yeah.
So now here with the Rams, and I'm looking at two very different positions. I think there's obviously, like, you could go Colson Loveland, but I'm gonna go cornerback here. I'm gonna take a little bit outside of what other people are going to do, mainly because I love this corner as my quarterback 4, and it's going to be Azariah Thomas. Now, I know. Okay, hear me out. They watched a lot of him last year because of the fact that they drafted Verse, they drafted Fisk. I loved Azariah Thomas last year. I think he made great strides in this past year as well, not having as good of a team around him. They desperately need cornerback help. And as far as the other quarterbacks that are on the board, like I said, I'm about to do like not a quick little rundown, but just like outside of Trey Amos, all of them have very big question marks that I'm not as, I'm not super duper pumped for. So I'm taking Azariah Thomas. I know it's a little bit early for some people, but I like him as my cornerback 4.
Yeah, I think he's really good. Even though this is very rich for me, I would have taken Siobhan Ravel personally.
I know concerned
ACL,
about the ACL,
but I do like Azariah Thomas better than some of these other corners. Maybe not
Trey Amos is like, that's what I'm saying. I was going back and forth.
But now I've got the Ravens here. I'm going to take Josh Connerly.
I like that.
They re-signed Ronnie Stanley, but they still need linemen. I think you can play Josh Connerly, develop him for a year or two at tackle while he plays in the interior, and then kick him out to guard. Also, Ronnie Stanley hasn't exactly been the pinnacle. I know he played all the games last year, but he hasn't been the pinnacle of health the last few years. So in a pinch too, you can throw him out there. But I think right now your biggest needs are offensive line, and you could take Tyler Booker. I think he would be an okay scheme fit here. Just like run the ball really good with Derrick Henry. But I'm gonna take Josh Connerly.
I like that. Except, I think you're worried about Daniel Falele at right guard, and then you had Patrick McCarry who left, which is, I don't think a lot of Ravens fans are too upset that he left. But I think you're good. I think you're okay at your tackles. Obviously, you're concerned about Ryan Stanley, but I mean, you got Tyler Linderbaum at center. You're good. But I think just preparing for the worst, because you never know if Ryan Stanley can go down. I like that pick. Lions here, I'm going to take an edge, mainly because I know that's going to be their biggest need. And I know he didn't have the year that he wanted this year, but I'm going to take Nick Scorton. I think him, perfect scheme fit for them at the Lions. I think he's going to drop down to where he was before, closer to that 265, 270 range. If he's able to get back to where I think he can, this is going to be a good coach for him to go to. Like I said, the Lions, they've done an amazing job as far as drafting wise, and I think that's a really good pairing for him to go with Aiden Hutchinson, where he's not going to be the number one guy.
So now I've got Washington, who had they obviously fixed their left tackle hole with Laramie Tunsil. They got rid of one of their longtime players in Jonathan Allen. I am going to take Darius Alexander.
Okay.
Play him next to Deron Payne. I know he's an older defensive lineman. I really like Darius Alexander. They need to get better in the front. The Eagles ran all over them in the NFC Championship game. I thought about maybe taking an edge here, or not an edge, a guard here, but I think you got to get better on that. And the offensive line was good enough last year with the scheme. They do a good job protecting it. I'm going to get Darius Alexander here to be on the front.
Okay. I like it. Like I said, I think he's a little bit older prospect, but still, I mean, I
think he'll be better early.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that's definitely going to help. Plus, I mean, like, the Commanders are in a very interesting spot too, because they already pretty much hit on their rebuild. So let's see if they can retool to actually move forward.
You're gonna take an edge, even though they just signed Joey Bosa.
That's what. Well, okay. This thing is, I don't really love anything edges here. I'm just checking to see. I still see the Lamar Jackson. Like I said, none of the edges are in.
Take Derek Carr.
That I'm looking at defense tackle. I was actually looking between Derek Carman or TJ Sanders, but he's not really going to be more of a fit. Like for somebody else. But Derek Carman, I think obviously
That's who you're taking.
that's what I'm going to take. Yeah. You got Ed Oliver. He's really good. But outside of that, and as far as interior pressure, I mean, DaQuan Jones is going to get a little bit old. You need some more interior pressure. You need really just pressure as in general. But I think that they got Gregor Rousseau, they got Joey Bosa, sure, and they got oh man, I'm let's try the other edge rusher, AJ Epineza. Like I said, I really like that rotation, and like I said, I think if you do take an edge, you're probably gonna take one in like the third round. So interior defensive pressure, get that with Derek Harmon. You get to pair him and Oliver on pass rushing downs, which I think is gonna be amazing for them. And hopefully that can take you over the top to hopefully be able to finally beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Speaking of the Chiefs, they've gotten rid of like all of their offensive linemen. Donovan Jackson makes perfect sense here. He can play inside, outside. He's going to play inside here, but he has that versatility to play tackle in a pinch. They just need to get better on the front four, or not front four, offensive line. It's been really bad, or got really bad last year, especially in the tackles. They traded away their best offensive lineman. Obviously, they're re-signing. You got Creed Humphrey. You re-signed Trey Smith. Yeah, but you're going to re-sign him.
Yeah.
So get your other guard. Maybe he plays tackle long term. We'll see.
Do you think that they're going to kick in Sio Mateo? Kingsley Sio Mateo that they took?
I don't know. I don't really like it. I didn't like him coming in.
Like I said, now I do like Donovan Jackson too. Like I said, I think that's like an immediate plug and play. Now I'm here with the Eagles, and they're a very interesting team because they lost some players in free agency. And mainly I'll be focusing on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And they lost Mekhi Becton, and lost Milt Williams. Now, I think there's potential that you, if someone falls here, that's a tackle that can move in, that's inside a guard. You can move them at guard and have them trained to basically be the replacement for Lane Johnson. But in this case, I'm gonna look at the defensive line, and I'm gonna look at somebody that can replace Milton Williams. Man, because like I don't really feel that comfortable with
TJ Sanders.
I'm going to take TJ Sanders. I think he pretty much fits the same exact role that Milton Williams has. I think Milton Williams, obviously, like he was a third-round pick, developed into a really good pass rushing specialist as far as interior. Did not do good at the run defense. TJ Sanders kind of the same as that way. It wasn't the best against the run, but has really good pass rushing moves. And something that I think that you could just basically just plug and play. And obviously, him being on the same exact line as Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis is going to be nasty work.
Yeah.
So love that for the Eagles. They don't get a Georgia player, unfortunately, this time.
No. So now we're in the second round. We'll speed these picks along pretty quick. So Cleveland Browns, they took Travis Hunter in the first round. I'm going to take Gray Zabel.
Okay.
They need offensive line. They get some offensive line here.
Okay. So I'm the Giants right now.
They took
Shadur Sanders. And so if I'm here, I am loving this.
Yeah,
I'm loving this as my pick at wide receivers, and obviously the Titans next will be loving this too.
I think there is one that fits better.
I think there's one too. It's going to be I'm going to say Emeka Egbuka, mainly because you already have that flashy guy with neighbors there. You get the guy who can easily get open, someone who can also play the slot as well. So love that for the Giants.
I'm looking at the same thing with the Titans here. Luther Burden. I mean, they need wide receiver. We took Cam Ward in the first round. They fixed out their offensive line a little bit. You got Calvin Ridley, and that's kind of it at your wide receiver core. You get a guy
who's 30.
Yeah, you get a guy who can kind of be like a yak threat. I really like Luther Burden still. So you can kind of put him in the slot. Outside, you have holes at both spots. I don't believe in Treylon Burks. I don't think they believe in Treylon Burks. Luther Burden here.
Okay, so
I
think you took Terry McMillan. Yeah, so now I'm kind of looking at like, okay, well, this is kind of falling perfectly for you too. but perfectly not for you because you have to go against the Jaguars. But getting a Colston Loveland, I think pairing him with like I said, I know
it's good receiving core.
It's a good receiving core. Obviously, they could go defense here, but I'm thinking like Liam Cohen's going to really want to fix that offense, and it starts with the first 2 picks. And I would absolutely love that if I'm Trevor Lawrence.
Now we've got the Raiders that took Ashton Genty with their first pick. I'm going to take Alec Manor. Be that big wide receiver. They have Brock Bowers. They don't have like any really good wide receivers on the team. I think that would really be maybe their offensive line can develop a little bit. Mm-hmm. You got Brock Bowers there. Ashton Genty, I feel really confident about. Now you get Alec Manor, kind of be that second receiving option because Brock Bowers is the number 1. Mm-hmm. I like it.
I like that one too. So now I'm here with the Patriots.
Patriots took
took Will Campbell. I am looking at potentially either a running back here, or if there was a wide receiver that I would like, that I'll take that. But there's not going to be a wide receiver. I think that we took a Manor. There's not really. Yeah. So now I'm looking at somebody who's going to be fitting their scheme. I'm in between Caleb Johnson and Cam Skattebo. Which
really,
as far as like their scheme wise, yeah.
I think you should take Caleb.
I'm going to take Caleb Johnson because like that breakaway speed is kind of ridiculous for a guy his size.
Yeah, I Cam Skattebo also I view as like a later pick like that, like not later in the draft, but like later second round, early third round is probably where I'd take him.
Yeah.
Now we've got the Bears who took Mason Graham in the first round. I'm taking Quinshon Judkins.
I like that one.
I really like him. He plays like really tough brand of football. I think he can kind of be the David Montgomery type role in this offense. He has solid breakaway speed. It's not like Gibbs or anything, but I don't think they're going to really like DeAndre Swift. I mean, obviously they didn't like him when he coached him in Detroit. So I think Quinshon Judkins fits perfectly here.
All right. Well, that kind of screws me over because I was going to take him for the Saints. Okay, so and there's not really a wide receiver that I can take either. Go to wide receivers. Let's see what we have available. Or top. Oh, actually,
there's one.
Okay.
We took
Will Johnson.
I know who you're taking.
You know who I'm taking? Who do you think I'm taking? Yeah, I'm taking Jaden Higgins. I love Jaden Higgins as far as like, I mean, I like Jalen Cochran last year. He went undrafted, but Jaden Higgins being basically that compliment to Chris Olave. I wouldn't love that for me though, but I'd love it for the Saints.
So Bears so far have gotten Mason Graham and Quinshon Judkins. I think I'm going to take let's see what the safety looks like. I'll take Xavier Watts.
That's a good pick.
I think that's a really good pick. Secondary, and hey, they've got a lot of picks thanks to your team, but I get the Jets.
Well, yeah. All right, so now I'm here with the Jets, and I am perfectly fine with the way the board's falling because of the fact that I can get Tyleik Williams. I think that pairing him, that's such a good pairing. No, he's right up there. Yeah, like I said, that's such a great pairing. Right?
Oh, right there.
Yeah. Like I said, that's such a great pairing with Quinn Williams. As far as like, obviously they could go edge rusher here because they need some more rotation. But I think you can get that in the third round because it's a very, very deep edge rusher class that I'm looking at. Who are you going to take?
I am going to take Siobhan Ravel.
Okay.
I know he has the ACL. I think if he had been healthy this entire year, he probably would have been cornerback 2 or 3. I think he would have competed with Jahdae Barron. I know he plays in a smaller conference, but dude, he's so good. I know the ACL is going to be a thing, but this is the second round. I think, honestly, you need to take the best player. And if I had to rank all these players, I'd probably have him as the top if he was healthy. And I think he's going to be fine coming back from the ACL tear. So I'm taking Siobhan Ravel.
I like that pick. Because, like, you took who'd you take?
I took first round was Mike Green.
Mike Green, that's right. You took an edge rusher. Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to take I'm taking an edge rusher.
Matthew Golden.
I took Matthew Golden. They could go running back, but I'm going to go with edge rusher here because where did Jerry Jones go to college?
Arkansas.
Yes, he did. Landon Jackson replaces DeMarcus Lawrence, and you can get yourself actually a run stuffer.
He replaces Micah Parsons.
Eventually, whenever they pay him, we don't know.
Now I got the Colts. They took Malachi Starks in the first round.
Mm-hmm. You did say they wanted linebacker.
They need Jihad.
Yeah, that's it.
They've needed linebacker for a couple of years now. I think I would have loved linebacker, or not linebacker, tight end here too. But I think if you come out with Malachi Starks and Jahad Campbell, you feel pretty good about your defense.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I think Colts are going defense here.
The Falcons took your boy in the first round.
Yeah. So I'm looking now. I would really kind of hate this. Actually, no. I was going to go Demetrius Knight, but I'm like, no.
I thought about it.
I thought about it, but like, I still like their. I mean, obviously, I don't like they signed Divine Diablo. I mean, that's okay. Okay, what? No, because the centers there aren't going to be good. Mm-hmm. I was thinking center, but no. God, I would go Demetrius Knight. I really don't want to give them Demetrius Knight Jr., but it kind of fits. Oh man, I would hate that. I would absolutely hate that.
I'm up with they took Kenneth Grant in the first round. The Cardinals did. I'm going to take Tyler Booker here.
I mean, you need falling there is crazy.
Falling there. I know he has the athletics stuff, but get a really good guard who I still think is going to be a very high quality starter in the NFL. And I think you just hit on your first two picks with Kenneth Grant and Tyler Booker, and you just fill out your fronts.
I'm going to see here because I could go a couple of different ways. I can go interior offensive line, not really. None of those fit. I could go OT.
One of those fits.
But I know they're not going to take him because they never do. I just don't understand why they don't.
Who did they take in the first round?
Remember they took he took corner. Yeah. I'm in between. That's kind of a reach. I'm not going to take him that high. I was going to take Alfred Collins, but I think that's a little bit of a reach. Dadgummit. I could take Shamar Turner, but I'm not going to. Goodness gracious, this is hard for the Dolphins because like I want to pick somebody, but they're not going to pick them. I know you're looking at me.
I know who you should take here.
Who do you think I should take?
Marcus Membo.
I do like Marcus Membo,
or Embo.
I think that's a little bit too high for him. But you know what? Sure. You took Patrick Paul last time. You take Marcus Embo. I think he can be able to play in interior, and he fits really well with their scheme. But I just know they're not going to do what we want them to do because they never do.
They took Shamar. The first round took Shamar Stewart. Now you get Alfred Collins, being that beef in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You get two good picks on your defensive line, just be able to stop the run. Hopefully, you can fill out a solid defense. Now we get the Seahawks, who took Josh Simmons in the first round.
Yes, they did.
And they got to pick right after this.
I got to pick right after that too, so I go back to back. Ooh, okay.
Not back to back.
Well, basically, I get to go back to back. Let's see here. I'm trying to think because if I took,
they need a wide receiver.
They do need a wide receiver, but
receiver. There's
no wide receivers I really like there.
They could still use interior offensive line.
Yeah. I'll say that for the next pick. So I don't know who you're going to go with the Broncos. I am going to go with. Go back up to safeties for a second. Okay. Nothing really like. Well, actually, no, because he's more of a free safety. I was looking more for a strong safety. Go back because I was looking at Makuba, but Makuba's more of a free safety for me. Heck, go. I really don't like it though. I was going to say James Pierce Jr., but I don't really like it. I mean, he kind of fits that same exact role of Derek Hall, but actually, no, go into your offensive line. I'll take Tate Ratledge. I'll take the for sure guy that I like.
I know who I'm taking here. The first round, they took Omarion Hampton. I think this is pretty easy. You take Xavier Restrepo. You get a solid slot wide receiver here.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're back on the clock with the Seahawks.
I'm back on the clock, and there's still nobody that I really like. Okay. I took edge rusher. If there's a wide receiver that I would take, I would take him. I feel okay about their corner. I'm hoping that Nehemiah Pritchett hits that. Good Lord, there's nobody really that I like. I mean, I guess I could double dip at offensive line, go to offensive tackle.
Well, you already double dip. You'd be triple dipping.
Oh, that way be triple dipping. Go to edge rusher.
I think you take James.
I think you take James Pierce. You take a flyer on him. Like I said, he fits the same exact role as like Derek Hall. I love Derek Hall as well, Auburn man. But yeah,
Buccaneers took Jalen Walker in the first round. I'm going to take Trey Amos. I think he's the number one corner there. They need corner, kind of fill out that defense a little bit. Then you have the Packers, who I took Micah Williams in the first round.
Yes. I'm looking at cornerback. Go to cornerback, please. Oh, I know Benjamin Morrison for sure. Benjamin Morrison, like I said, obviously he's also another one who's coming off injury, but he would be amazing for the Green Bay Packers.
I've got the Chargers here. Let's see, interior offensive line. I don't like that. So I am going to take JT Tuimoloau.
I like that.
Get a run-stopping edge. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's familiar with him.
Replace Joey Bosa.
Yeah, he's kind of like, you got Khalil Mack, but you still need another edge rusher there. He's going to help you stop the run. He can be a quality edge rusher. Now you get the Bills. First round took Derek Harmon.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you take here? I think there's a player you should take.
I know. What are the other corners that I have? I could possibly get. I also kind of like Darren Porter. I'm gonna go. Instead of going Maxwell Harrison, because I think you already have that on this team, I'm gonna go Darren Porter. I think Darren Porter, you get a tremendous size. Obviously, he only really started his last year, but I really like his athleticism, and he's not the number one. He doesn't have to be the number one guy. So
now I'm drafting for your team. I'm going to take Maxwell Harris.
Okay.
You need corner still. I know you just signed.
J.C. Horn and also Mike Jackson.
Yeah, but you give him a ball hawking corner out there because even if J.C. Horn hasn't been exactly the pinnacle of health.
No.
You took an edge rush in the first round, so I'm going to take the best corner on the board here.
And
now you're up on my team.
I'm up for your team that has like none of the wide receivers I want. Go back to wide receiver just to see. Oh, actually, go back to wide receivers. I'm not going to pick them, but just see. No. I'm taking interior. I'm taking Jared Wilson.
Yeah,
I like that. I like Jared Wilson a lot.
The Ravens in the first round took Josh Connerly. This round, I'm going to take Princely.
Like a
good edge rusher. I think he's kind of a Swiss Army knife type guy. I think the Ravens can do good things with him. And I think he's honestly probably the best player on the board at this point. You've got the Lions. Who took Nick Scorton in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Go to tackle for a second. Okay.
Oh, I see. You should have Wyatt Millen for me.
Yeah. I probably should have. But I'm still okay with it though. As a guard, I'm in between Wyatt Milo and Jonas Savaiinaea.
I think Wyatt Milo's a better run blocker.
I think he's a better run blocker. He's like I said, he's like a high. Like I said, I'm gonna take him. Like I said, I really like that. I think they're gonna go guard in the first or second round. I take them. Got them getting I think edge rusher.
This just means now I will take Jonas Savaiinaea for the Commanders. Play him at guard. I think Wyatt Milo's better fit for the Lions. Savaiinaea, I think Milo would be good for either one.
Yeah.
Savaiinaea is still really good, but now you have the Bills.
Let's do. I took. Let's see. The Bills.
Took Derek Harmon and
Darren Porter. That's right. Okay, so I got my interior. I got my cornerback. Go to linebacker for me a second. Just to see who we have. I do love Chris Paul Jr. I'm gonna take Chris Paul Jr. here. That's a good pick for them. Yeah.
The first round, I took Donovan Jackson for the Chiefs. I don't like the tackles here. I don't think you could start any of those guys.
Unless you want to develop Charles Grant, but I don't think you would. Actually, no, there's somebody that I like.
Who?
I like Jack Sawyer here as being an edge rusher that you don't like I said, like you don't really have that, unfortunately. Uzomah has not been the kind of guy that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm here with the Eagles. I took that's right, TJ Sanders. So now I'm gonna look at guard. Go to offensive tackle that can go inside. Oh well, actually, you know what? No.
Cam Williams.
No, I'm gonna go Charles Grant because I think that you can draft him, develop him, and hopefully have him be the future.
I kind of like that.
I like that. I like that really. Like I said, I think it's a really good draft if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I think we did a good. I'll upload this picture to Twitter. But Next week, we'll be coming at you with our best and worst free agency classes. We'll go like top 5 or around that. We'll probably be a little bit repetitive, and you'll get my whole Texans rant, which will be really fun. But
you'll have time to really,
yeah, we'll do a couple episodes of free agency stuff, one more mock draft, and then then it's draft season. We'll be streaming the draft first round. So can't wait for that. It's about a month away.
That's crazy.
But thank y'all for watching this episode of Gridiron Gurus, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.